Welcome back. One of the most critical elements of business growth is understanding who your dream buyer or client or customer or whatever you want to call them, who they are. Unfortunately, it's also one area that lots of businesses neglect. Most settle for demographics and a hypothetical imagining of who their client is, usually based on what they want to sell them. And in the age of the internet, frankly, it's not good enough. So, just how much do you understand about your customers? Just pop a comment into the comment section below and let's have a look and see what you think right now. Now let's turn to a little case study and think about a giant actually, Procter & Gamble, huge consumer goods company. But by the end of the 1990s, going back a little way, they'd got declining sales, stagnating product set, and they were certainly underperforming. The share price was on its way down, and not surprisingly, the future didn't look particularly good. Enter AG Lafley as chief executive in 2000. And what Lafley did was that he renewed the focus on the customer. In his words, the consumer is the boss. Now, he instigated detailed customer research. He focused on deeply understanding the needs, desires, and habits of Procter & Gamble's customers. This heavy investment, and it was a heavy investment, I've looked at the numbers, this heavy investment produced customer insights that drove innovation and a major rethink on marketing. PG, not surprisingly, was resurgent and revitalized as a result, and it's something that they've really tried to do ever since. So, a deep understanding of the customer is the foundation of business success. It drives informed product or service development. And it means that you have offerings that resonate with real needs and real desires of real people. It sharpens marketing messages. It has much more impact as a result. And simply put, they're much more relevant. It really is that simple. Most importantly, it distinguishes you from the competition. In other words, you build trust and loyalty because you're looking into the heart of the customer. Businesses that are tuned into customers are better positioned. They're better positioned from the perspective of innovation. They have better communication with their customers, and they cope better with change in the market. What you get as a result is sustainable growth and a strong bottom line. Revenue goes up and usually profit with it. And Lafley himself said, "I believe everything starts with a deep understanding of who the customer is and what they want and need." So if you're seeking growth, the best way to do that is to deeply understand your customer and do that better than anyone else. So, how do we actually go about that? So I'm just going to switch over to a slightly different view. Where we're going to start out actually is with a little worksheet. Here's a worksheet that I've put together. And this is derived from a couple of different people's work. And what this worksheet does is that I use the life cycle of the firm across the top. So startup, growth, maturity, renewal, exit, decline. We also have sources, and we have any notes we want to put. There's 4 main categories. There's hopes and dreams. There's pains and fears. And there's barriers and uncertainties. And there's some unexpected insights that we can see. And then down the bottom, you might use jargon or specific terms, and any additional notes that you want to have. If you have a look just here, the idea, these are things that I've got off YouTube channels. So that's what I've kind of done. And how do you fill this out? This is pre-populated. I'll attach I'll attach the Word document that it is, and you'll see why a Word document in just a moment. But the first place that we actually start before we start to fill this out is in a very different place. And we just need to go off and go over to Chrome. And so we're in this website that's called Answer the Public. And Answer the Public basically looks across the internet at what people are asking. So the search that I did is that I'm interested as a work-life performance coach. One of the things I'm interested in is work-life balance. And if we go in and we type in work-life balance into this, you'll see I've searched before, and we hit search. What it now does is it goes away across the internet, and it will actually go and look at all the questions on work-life balance by scanning the internet. Now, what it first comes up with is this rather fancy plot here. And it's doing a bit of a search. As you can see, it's actually doing that in real time. And if you look around the wheel now, you can see, can't find work-life balance, but you can see how can work-life balance be achieved is a question. Now, a better place to go and look is actually under data. And that is how is a good question to ask. How work-life balance is important. How is work-life balance in different companies? You've got to read and see what is going on. An alternative place you can go and look is something called the keyword magic tool from SEMrush. And if we type in work-life balance there as well, what we're looking for is the questions that people ask, because this is what people are doing. People are living on the internet and they're asking the questions. So they ask questions like this one here: how to balance work and life. What is work-life balance? So it gives you an idea of the question that people are asking. Very similar here: how can work-life balance be achieved? How can work-life balance impact performance, which is something I'm particularly interested in as a performance coach. With those questions in mind, and you do this quite forensically and going in quite some detail, we then turn and we start to work through various social sites. The obvious one to start with is actually good old Dr. Google. And let's just pick up one of those questions that we had from here, which is how to achieve work-life balance. So let's just type into Dr. Google and see what comes up. How to achieve work-life balance, demonstrating my significant typing skills. So we get lots of different things. We get words popping up. But the thing you'll see here is that these are not from your clients. They're not from customers. They're not from real people. They're from different people, probably experts like me, on the internet. So we're actually better to go to somewhere like Whirlpool forums. So type in Whirlpool forums, and you'll see that if you put in work-life balance, you'll actually do a search, and these things will pop up. Now, what I do limit to, I say give me stuff from the last year, because things like Whirlpool, things like the other sites we're going to look at, actually all go back quite a way. So I've used these before, so I'm not going to pick a lot of these out, but I'm just demonstrating for these purposes. So if we actually go into career advice, we see what I would call an entry-level person, a startup type person. I've got 1.5 years left till I finish my engineering degree, and it doesn't look like he's enjoyed some of it, but he doesn't really worry about. He wants a job that pays well and that work-life balance isn't too terrible. He's just telling us here. So he's basing advice for potential career paths. So that's what he's looking to do. If we go a bit further, we go to other places. Let's have a look. And there's a lot of rubbish in here, you'll see. Balancing money versus family and home. Basically, I work away from home on a project during the week, 2 to 3 year drive. Doesn't see his kids. So the advice is I would go for work-life balance. So we're starting to see the issues that people have. Now, if we actually widen the search out, let's have a few more years on the clock. Let's just say all time with the preference for recent. Do a search. And we get a little bit more. And the reason we want a little bit more is we want to go through and look for things that are relatively recent, but we need a wider span. There's one that's 2 years ago. And we can see, you start to pick up the conversations that people are having. And what we would do, once we've got these conversations, we'd actually pick them up. So here we have a bit of an issue. What we want to do is, so we've highlighted that, we copied, okay, we've copied that, and what we want to do, and I've just got to work a little bit of magic in the background, I've got to go over to Word, I'm going to get my little sheet up, and that is, he says, I guess it's a bit hard to choose how one considers what you. I've very much been a grind and work hard person, but at this stage I'm considering for what? A bit unsure. So he is clearly having a little bit of doubt, probably in pains and fears. You can see I've already got quite a bit in there, but if we just go in and we add this in, paste and match formatting, and we've added all of that in. So what I've done out of quite a bit of work this afternoon is I've picked all of these things up. So I've actually dropped all of this in here, as you can see. Oops. I've dropped all of this in, and I've got all of this information that's come out of Whirlpool. So what we do now is we go into Quora, and we search in Quora for work-life balance. And up pop a number of suggestions. Which is the best career field? How can I establish healthy work-life balance? Why is it important? I've done quite a bit of work all this afternoon, so I'm not going to put a lot of repetition through. This was an interesting one that I saw earlier. For the past 2 months, I've been unhappy and low on energy and couldn't figure out why until yesterday. I've become engrossed. He used to dance, and he started dancing again, suddenly felt energized. So there's some clues. I've actually used that one and mapped it over into my spreadsheet. So you would pick up elements of this and you have to read through them and get the sense of the pains. And you would drop it into one of the elements, see where you think they fit, whether or not they're in a startup, growth or maturity stage, and drop them over into the Word file that is still there. And the Word file looks like this. Let's just increase that in size a little bit. There we go. And you can see that the Word file looks like this. And you see what I've picked up there in terms of pains and fears from things like Quora and and from the Whirlpool forum. The next place you might go and have a look at is Reddit. Reddit.com, and that'll pop up, and you search Reddit, and again you see I've done a search earlier, search for work-life balance, and these all pop up. Now again, I've worked through a lot of these this afternoon, so here's an interesting one though for entry-level people. Is work-life balance important in your 20s? And work-life balance in your 20s is an easy way to guarantee a mediocre career. Most people agree. I totally disagree. There's an interesting perspective. Not having a healthy work-life balance during your 20s is a great way to end up not having any more friends. So what you're doing is you're picking up the conversations that people are having and you're lining them up with these categories over in your Word document. It's just, again, we have to increase the size, eCam decides. And you slot these conversations in terms of pains and fears, in terms of barriers, uncertainties, in terms of hopes and dreams, and in terms of unexpected insights. So you'll pick things like this up. So you've gone through Reddit. So we've gone through Quora, Reddit, and an unusual place to go is, the next place we might go is, which seems a bit strange, but let's slip over onto it. Next place we go is YouTube. YouTube, you say, what do you want to go to YouTube for? Well, YouTube. So if we put in work-life balance, which I've done earlier during the day, we get these things popping up, and we see the very great Simon Sinek popping up, and look who he's got with him, special guest there. But anyway, we're not really, although you should,
because balance is a
you should watch the video at some point. What we're really interested in is what the comments are. This is so well put. I can't wait for companies to start realizing that people aren't machines. There is something that is very definitely a pain. You drop it over into the pains section. I feel the more seamless that we can make work and life, the more we can start to enjoy both more. So again, there's an aspiration that would go into hopes. Another one here, I heard the phrase work-life harmony once. Let's just enlarge that a bit, looking at how big it is. I heard the phrase work-life harmony once, can't remember the source, and have adopted the phrase versus work-life balance. Again, you're seeing the conversations, the pains, the insights, the preferences of people are coming out in the comments. So the idea of this is that you, let me just pull back to the Word document. The idea is that you continue working your Word document and you fill it out. Now, this is not something that you do overnight. It's not something that you do for an hour and then say, I've got enough. This needs a good solid bit of effort. This that I've got here that you can see is based on a couple of hours of work this afternoon. That's where this has come from. Now, that's just gathering the data. Okay. Now, if you try and you can go through this manually, and you must keep the whole data, this data that you collect, you keep it in a separate file. But what I would then do, once you start to see the same themes coming round and round again, if you're seeing the same stuff again and again off the different channels that you're looking at, then I would stop. I would copy the file to an extra copy. And then here's something really sneaky. So what we're going to do, now we've got that copy, is we pick up the contents of the column, we copy it, okay, so copy. We then go to our friend over here, which is ChatGPT. There's a reason I'm doing this, you'll see. What we say is, in the context of hopes and dreams, that's the cell that we've just got out of. In Now, in the context of, I can't spell, look. In the context of hopes and dreams in work-life balance, summarize the following. And what it does, it will go away and summarize what I've just dropped in. Now, this is one of the places where ChatGPT is really good, because it's not making stuff up. It's actually using its search mechanism to actually analyze the data that you've just thrown at it. And what it does is it compares words together. It compares words together and starts to look for patterns in whatever it is you've given it, and that enables it to summarize what's going on. And so it does all this in the background. That's how it actually learns from what you're saying. What it does is it reduces down all of that lots and lots and lots of words into a short paragraph. And what you can do is you can pick that up. We go back to the Word document, to where we were before, which happened to be there, and we just drop, oh, let's do it properly, undo, it's just the formatting. We just drop in what has gone there. So let's just do that again. So we are copying what's in the column, and we go over to ChatGPT, which is in here. And we say, because we've done one before, we can just say summarize this in the same context. Drop it in and send. Again, does the same, goes away, looks at the content that it's got, does lots of comparisons of the words inside, carries out a piece of analysis, and then works out what the patterns and the themes are in what it is you're throwing. This is the actual real, this is a real boon of the way that ChatGPT is constructed. Better than that, it gives you back in relatively well-written English as well, which is always a bit of a plus. So there we go. So that gives us that, and we go back to our Word file. We go back to where we were, which was there, and we can simply drop in, edit, paste and match formatting, because I'm a bit of a formatting fiend, and straight away we've got that in. So we go through and we summarize everything in that way. And as a result, you've now got nice, tidy summaries of all of that research you've done. Now, I've really done a very, very short version of this. So what we want is, we want to spend a lot of time on this. You want to spend, I would say, a good 8 to 12 hours just on one theme. So the themes that I'm looking at the moment in my own research are work-life balance, happiness or subjective well-being, and satisfaction with work or success at work. So I'll go away and I'll do yet more research on this one. I'll summarize it, all of the stuff that I find using ChatGPT, which will give me a really good picture of what it is my potential buyers as a coach are actually looking for in those 3 areas. You would do it in your own area, what your key phrases are, what it is you deliver to do that. So that's how we go about it. Now, what we do with that from there, I'll come to in another talk. So let's go back to me. Hello, I'm back. So just ask yourself, think about what I've just done. Think about if you just work that through. Can you see the value of such detailed understanding? Now go back to the first question that I asked and think about what a difference that could make. And let me just see what you think, what sort of difference that could actually make. What value would that add to your business. So if we want to get established, if we're just starting out, if we want to grow, if we want to turn around P&G, we wouldn't mind being $1 behind P&G. It all starts with the customer. And that means digging in to where they live. Where do most of them live nowadays, at least in the Western world? They live online, and that's where we've got to go and look for them.